Something on my calendar that got added. It's tough because I only have control of my calendar, so it changes from like minute to minute. Yeah. So I think I am busy. Okay. But you can check that out and see if I am or not. I live an adventurous life of who knows what's happening on my calendar until it happens. Okay, so Okay. We are going to get, how are you doing?
Really good. If you need me to do the TA stuff, I can.
Uh-huh.
Are you just gonna send the email first and see like what can be done? Or what?
No, I don't think it can be really fixed. So, I think we're just gonna have to have you guys manually. You even have to do it manually. You just have to do it manually for each quiz for that question on iLearn. So we'll just need to get
right now.
we'll just need to get Will to add you guys, and then
I can. So is it just one of us doing it, or all three of us?
I think we're gonna want all three of you to be on there because the mid point assignment as well as the final assignment, we want you guys to go and grade.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So you just want me to remind Will to add us?
Yeah. If he doesn't do it the next day or so, I'll try to remind him as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, have fun. Okay, so we're going to get started. You guys can ignore everything if you guys heard that online or whatnot. That's for our Alps basic program. We're just talking about some details with one of our project mentors. If any of you guys are interested in being project mentors in the fall for Alps, not fall, winter, we have positions open for that. Okie dokie. So we will get started with today's weekly workshop. Okay, any successes, anything that's happened to your project this week that you're just like really happy about or something like that? Anything you guys were able to overcome and finally like were able to figure out that might be useful to other teams? Yeah.
I mean, I think just getting a better sense of what the client wants is helpful when it comes to really getting a better direction for the way our research is supposed to go when it comes to, whether it's data collection or simply just figuring out whether to stick with databases or whether to go with a survey route or something like that. It just it provides a much clearer picture, and as a result, you can kind of focus better instead of when you have a much narrower focus than if it was way broad, kind of like what we were dealing with at the beginning of the project.
Yeah. And which project is that for?
White Rogers.
White Rogers, yes, this Emerson project, yeah. Yes, asking a lot of good questions and clarifying that with client can really be very, very helpful. Fantastic. Okay, so this week is week 4. So we are officially almost a third of the way done through the internship. So time keeps on flying. This week, day-to-day with your project manager and with Will, or if you're on an Emerson project, might be with John. Please schedule those for this week. Calendar is getting very, very full. That's why I encourage that last training that they get scheduled then. We're having a lot of duplicate times on scheduling things. So that's why that was posted. Will posted that on Slack. So just be careful when you're creating an event that it doesn't overlap even by 15 or 30 minutes with another event, just because we don't want to be double booked or triple booked. So just kind of be very careful with that and looking at the calendars of everybody who might be going to that meeting. Next week is just continuing research. There's no like checkpoints or things that are happening other than just research. It just, by that point, you want to be about 50% done by next week with the research and data kind of collecting. So it can kind of help give you a time scale of how much research have we collected. By next week, we want to be about 50% done with that process. So I already talked about the meetings and all that. Okay, so I feel like I've discussed all that. Just make sure that meeting thing doesn't overlap because Will would just deny it. And we want Will to be able to attend those meetings as well as your project managers. Okay, so we're going to look at something really cool. Just really briefly, if you guys want to use this in one of your projects, you can. We're just going to talk about Airtable really quick, and then we're going to actually talk about like Qualtrics and stuff like that. So this is a really cool service. It's basically like Excel plus a relational database all in one. So like a SQL database. Anybody heard of Airtable before? Airtable. So it's really cool. So it's really cool if you want to basically have a bunch of information in cells. The cells are capable of storing a lot more information than in a typical, what's it called? Like Excel cell? Excel cell? Excel. Oh, I've lost the project. It's okay. Actually, oh no, this is still it. Okay. So this is a project we did last semester. So what we can see here is this is a bunch of people. We have people, a bunch of titles, this is actually linked to another table. These are all the tables up here. A bunch of information about this individual, things like that. And a bunch of all these linked cells. And this is what makes it really cool. Because unlike in Excel, we can store information and all that stuff, but you can store links to other tables where other information is kept. For instance, I can click on Clayton M. Christensen, expand his record, and I can see now a bunch of his titles. I can click on this. So I can see that he's an author. Why is it not doing it? Okay. It's not working for some reason on that cell. I can see here his organizational affiliates. He's a bunch of kind of affiliates, publications, everything, and everything is linked together. So here I see the Huffington Post. I can click on that and then learn more about the Huffington Post. See that it's a newspaper. I see, oh look, it fits in one of the strategic priorities that they have, which is Harvard Business Review. And then you can kind of just continue linking things together. And so I'm explaining this kind of in a poor fashion, but basically you're able to have all these cells interlinking together with linking different tables together, which is what kind of database does. We have like a SQL database. They all link together. So I'm able to see, I'm gonna go to strategic priorities. You see these different strategic priorities, I can see who fits those strategic priorities. I can click on people's names and do kind of a similar process, and you can kind of dive into more. It's kind of like a social network-esque type thing. But Airtable is really cool. If you think that this is something that might be useful for a project you're working on, you're welcome to use it. We've done it only in one previous project last semester, but something we want to implement more because you can create lots of cool kind of situations with this. That you just can't easily do in Excel. So that's Airtable. There's just a little fun little thing that I wanted to talk about. What we're going to really talk about today is Qualtrics. Qualtrics is an extremely valuable tool to learn and to kind of master. Once you have dominion over that, it's something that you can put in your resume and say that you're very comfortable with. It is, I believe, the largest survey platform that's used in the United States. SurveyMonkey, I believe, is second. It's very, very powerful. So I'm going to walk through some of the kind of features of it. I'm first just going to create a test project. We're going to go to some of the kind of more advanced features and capabilities in terms of like logic and stuff like that. Okay. So let's ask a question like, what is your favorite color? Fantastic. We might have blue, red, green, Black. Okay, so these are the favorite color choices that we have in this survey. We can now add an additional question if we want that asks them, that asks them like, enter your age. We want to change that to be just a text entry option. Now let's say we only want to display this enter your age if they select a certain response for this color question. So we can do is add, I want to select this question, add display logic. So basically creating an if statement. So we have a question. What's your favorite color? Select choice. Let's say if they say black is selected, then this next question is going to display. We could also add another condition. Let's say or, same question, green is selected. So now if they select either green or black, it is going to have them enter your age as an option. Inside Qualtrics are also blocks. So we have here a new block. So we have this block be demographics, just as a way to kind of separate and organize your survey. You might now have annual income as I'm going to use, an automated choice for this field, and I'm just going to pick here for the income. Fantastic. But maybe we only want an individual to complete the demographics block if they, okay, I'm going to reword that. Let's say if somebody says blue, they are such a normal person that we don't want them to even take the survey. So we can do is we can do some skip logic. Basically, what we're going to cause this individual to do is skip the survey entirely. Kick them out so they don't answer the demographic survey, so they don't follow the standard line in order. This individual who chose blue would not see this question, but by default, they would automatically go afterwards to the demographic block. Oops. Sorry, multi-touch screen. But let's say if they say, if condition blue is selected, then we're going to skip to end of the block. So what that would mean is if they answer blue, it would skip to the end of this block, starting at the next block. So if we chose that, it would just start at demographics. But we actually don't want that. What I'm going to do is skip to end of survey. Done. So if somebody checks blue, they're going to skip to the end of survey. If someone checks red, they're going to actually go straight to the demographics question because this is not going to display. They check green or black, it's going to go to the age question and then to the demographic block and ask about the annual income. So those are both skip and display logic. Skip logic is very rare. I recommend probably not using skip logic unless you want to skip some block of questions. Display logic is much more common. Display logic is really good for follow-up questions. So, do you like this product? Yes or no? If no, why do you not like the product? And it's only going to display if they respond in such a way to your question. So now let's just preview that. Just so you kind of look at that. So if you click this preview button, it's going to display in both cell phone and then non-cell phone methods how it kind of looks. Okay, so which color, Patrick, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue? Okay, so what should happen?
End of survey.
End of survey, right? Yep, end of survey, fantastic. We're gonna restart the survey. One annoying thing about Qualtrics is it actually saving these responses that you're doing. So you have to go through and delete them at the end. No, it's an annoying thing. So red, what's gonna happen with red?
It's going to skip to demographics.
It's gonna skip straight to demographics. I don't make very much, that's how much I make. I work just part-time, so less direct. So now if I go to green, it's going to ask me my age. I'm 24. And now, because there is no skip logic on that, it's going to ask me also on how much do I make. Fantastic. So you're there to kind of build a really, I'm actually just going to close it, a really simple thing that is fairly powerful. You can do lots of different types of display and skip logics in your question. Now, I have no validation in any of these questions. I also am not asking, so I'm not forcing responses. So to do that, if you wanted to, you could force a response. This is going to not allow the individual to skip this question. Request a response does allow somebody to leave it blank, but it pops up a notification saying, you didn't answer this. Are you sure you don't answer it? I tend to like request response if you feel it's necessary. Forcing response can sometimes make an individual, kind of talking about last week, express a feeling that they don't really want to feel, or express an emotion, express an opinion that they don't feel fully responds to their page. So they might just not feel like this question applies to them, and maybe they're ignoring it kind of on purpose. So there's both of those options. You can also validate in other types of ways. If you don't want an age, so I want a number. I don't want somebody to give me I'm 20 and spell out 20, because that's going to be awful for my validation process. So I can do some content validation on it. I can do some custom range validation. There's lots of things. So I'm not going to set this up because it takes more effort than I'm willing to put in for this training, but just there are other types of validations that you can do. This is also a single line entry. You can do a multi-line entry. You can do an essay text box, a form. So forms are kind of nice. If you want to say enter, I don't know, your response to these 3 different types of fields, you can do that as well. You can copy questions. One reason why I recommend not creating a survey initially in Qualtrics, I kind of discussed this in the last training, was it's really tough to rearrange them. This is question number 4. But I want to make this question actually above the annual income. I have to click it manually. It's now still question 4. This is still question 3. It doesn't renumber them, which can get really annoying when you have like a long survey with like 40 questions, and it goes question 5, question 40, question 15, then question 2. It's really tough to analyze afterwards. Okay, some other really cool things that you can do with Qualtrics. I'm going to actually delete this. I'll put this up here. I'm going to ask a sliding bar question. And I'm going to say, on a scale from 1 to 10, how likely are you to purchase this product at the following price? And I never can spell likely. Okay, so I'm going to do $24.99. $39.99, and $49.99. Let's say the client is trying to find out how much people really want to spend on this product. I want to change a couple things. I don't want this many labels. It's also kind of going backwards. Extremely likely should be high. To change that, I can reverse the order. It's nice because Qualtrics already picked up on that. I want sliders, but I said here on a scale of 1 to 10. So I only want 10 is the scale. I want to snap to grid. This will allow me to not do a 1.5, but only a 1 or a 2 with 10 grid lines. So fantastic. So now what this question is going to look like, and I can preview it, is it's going to ask them for me to rate for some product. Let's invent it. It's a new ball. But this individual doesn't want to rate this for every product because for every price point, because an individual is going to obviously rate something like this, that they want to spend less because they want to spend less on the product. And this type of question can only be done when you have a large number of individuals taking the survey, so you have a high sample. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to randomize it. And what I want is only for one of these responses to display for every individual. So if I have 100 people take it, to 30%, to 33% of that, this one price is going to display, and the other percent, the other price, and the other price. This is going to give me some averages for the interest at each price point. So I can see elasticity, I can see demand decrease as price increases, I can see lots of cool things when you format your question like this. So I'm going to present only one choice. Super easy. Save. So now what happens when I preview this question, it doesn't do it because I have to get in the full preview mode, but it's only going to display one of these options. I'm going to show you another way to randomize. I can randomization. I could randomize the order of all choices. This is really useful because sometimes if you have like a list of 10 options and you're ranking them, for instance, people might just inherently choose the top few options because they just want to read the top few options. So you can randomize it. What that's going to do is you can randomize all of these options so they're no longer in order, which I would not recommend because that makes everybody's life super hard. But just this is a good example of that process because it's the only option I have with multiple options on it. So we're going to click red. We're going to then get this question, and Qualtrics randomly chose me to see the $24.99 price. I can now say, I'm somewhat likely. And now it's giving me all that, and now it's randomizing this, which is awful. I never would recommend to randomize that specific question, but just to kind of see the functionality of it. And so now Qualtrics is going to spit all that out for all the people who take the survey. So those are some kind of often used features that are kind of more on the advanced side in terms of Qualtrics. There's some additional things that we can do in terms of randomization. We can step into advanced randomization, which only will randomize maybe some parts of the list. This you might use if you have like an other category at the bottom. You always want that other category at the bottom. I could randomize all of this. With advanced randomization. I don't think Qualtrics is letting me do it because of the question. There should be a little box here that says move it over to what you want randomized. It's only let me change the fixed order. Yes, so this is a bad example. I can set up another question, I guess, and do that really quick. Question. Option A, option B, and this one I want to be another. And I'm going to allow for text entry. I can change this box size. Fantastic. So I want, for this question, I have an option A, an option B, or another category. Now, if I want to randomize, okay, never mind. I just must be mistaken. Okay, so if I want to randomize option A and option B, but not option other, I can just press save. And now it's going to randomize just that question. Hopefully. I must be like just faulty in my memory of randomizing features. This feature I rarely will randomize. Okay, let's restart the survey. Well, it's tough because you have a 50-50 shot of see did I properly randomize it. Okay, so I don't know if I randomized that correctly. Huh. Fantastic. I love when I do stupid stuff and I'm recorded so everybody else can see how I might have just messed up. I don't know. There's still a chance I did it correctly. It says it's randomized. Okay, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else there. I think we're good for questions. Anything on questions, people questions on, or capabilities? Does anybody want to look up how to do piped text? Piped text? Interest on that? That means basically you've selected this response in that previous question. Talk more about that.
Is that where, like if we said, if you have children, then they say yes, and then you have a question related to it? Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Then yes.
We will go do that then. Okay, so we're gonna add another question. So we're gonna say, why do you like the color? And what you do is you simply click this piped text. And what we want to do is a survey question. What is your favorite color? And what we want is selected choices. Just like that. And this is a question that probably would be a text entry type question. Maybe it's a multi-line entry. Seems I can now adjust this box size. Fantastic. So now why do you like the color? And it's now looking at the choice for question 1. So what have I select here? So let's go preview that. I'm gonna check blue because I do like the color blue. Oh no, wait, if I check blue, it's gonna kick me out, right? I don't want that. I'm gonna check red, I guess. And then I'm going to, oh look, there you go. Why do you like the color red? You have that response right in there. If they check multiple responses, you're able to do that as well. Just it's different pipe text, it's different selection. But you can pipe text a full survey. The description, the question text, you can say, when does, on question 5, it said this, you said this, why? You can say not display choices, or sorry, unselected choices. So why did you not select blue? Why don't you like blue? You could kind of get interesting on them. I don't know. There's lots of stuff that you can do. You can display the time. You're currently taking this at, Monday. You can get kind of creepy on them. So stuff like that. Qualtrics has lots of kind of creepy data that they collect when you take the survey, and then they give you when you download the responses. Okay.
Hey, David, before you go.
Yeah.
So like on the school surveys that we do, if you have typed in, like on a sliding one, if you typed in lower than a certain thing, then there's a piped question. Can you show us how to do that? That makes sense.
So if there's a sliding bar, and if you type in an answer that's like lower than a certain,
right.
So say like so for instance, let's go to this example. Here I asked them pricing, and are you saying that they select something like less than 3? I then ask them, why did you select less than 3? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Right, yes.
Okay, so how I would actually do that is I would do that be a display logic. There's multiple ways to go about doing that. I feel the easiest would be then to add a question, say, why did you select, and then you can do pipe text, survey question. I want to, I don't know which one. I believe that this will give me the response that I want. Okay. So why did you select? It's going to sum it up, but it's only giving me one number. It's only giving me one row, so it should just give me that. I'll add display logic to this question. So I'm asking on the scale, if the choice, because I'm adding randomization. Okay, I'm taking out the randomization for a second. Because I won't be able to show you it as an example if I have the randomization in there. So I'm going to say on this question, which is that price question, if they chose the $24.99, so if I'm going to say so their response to that is less than or equal to, let's say 5, for instance. So if they give this question, their response to the $24.99, less than a score of 5, it's now going to display this question. So we can go test this out. I've never actually done this before, so we'll have to see if this actually works. If it doesn't, don't be too mad. Don't get the pitchforks out quite yet. I'm going to give it a 2 because this product is awful and I don't want it. Why did you select 2? So I now have, it did that. It displayed it to me because I selected a number less than 5. If I go back, restart the survey, let's just make sure the logic is actually working. I'm going to say, I really like this product, an 8. And now it does not ask me that question. So that's how I would do that, that type of situation where you're trying to, whenever you're trying to reveal something or you're saying something depends on another question, display logic is almost always the easiest thing to do. And inside display logic, there's lots of logic you can do, like if greater than, if less than, if equal to, and stuff like that. Did that help answer your question?
Yep, perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, so there's lots that you can do with Qualtrics, and this is literally people's jobs. All I do is Qualtrics, but I'm just going to go over a few more things really quick. So look and feel. You can customize how your questions look, styles, logos, general. You can add bars. Is that here? Oh, yeah. You can add a progress bar to it. So here's the progress bar I've just added. So there's lots of things you can do in terms of customization on how it looks. Survey flow, here we get to see the blocks. If you have lots of skip logic, it'll be represented here in the survey flow. You can also rearrange blocks in that option. Your survey option, you can customize things and lots of this you don't need to get into, so you can pretty much ignore it. If you want, like, the thing I change the most is like a custom thank you at the end of the survey. So default end of survey message. I'm gonna make it a custom saying thank you so much. So it's not just the default. That you can ignore. Collaborate, you can add collaborators to this. If you want to add me to collaborate with anything, you have to use this username. That is me. I can't collaborate to myself, so it doesn't show it. But you can change privileges, so some people can just edit it, some people can view it or have full rights to it. Okay, so that's kind of that. If I want to distribute this survey, I have a couple options. This fantastic survey that's super valuable, lots of good information inside of here. I can send it out in emails, which is really cool. And if you want this to go out to emails, I recommend using Qualtrics engine to send out the email because it can do some cool, creepy stuff. If not, you just want to send out to like a Facebook group, for instance, you might just need a link. And a single reusable link is a good way to kind of do that. And you can just kind of copy and paste that. You can also send personalized links. So I know sending out different links to different individuals, for instance. Emails are really great though. So when you want to compose an email, I can make it look like it comes from whoever I want, which is fantastic. So I could have it come from Trump at whitehouse.gov. And I can literally make it look like Trump is sending out this email, which is fantastic because it's super creepy. So if you want to send out the email in behalf of your client, you're able to do that. Oh, invalid domain. What's the White House website?
Probably whitehouse.gov.
Yes, no, White House.gov.
I don't know if it would necessarily be.
CIA.gov. It might be restricting me because it's not letting me use that as my domain. There you go, Trump at BYU Idaho. But there's lots of things that you can do. So if your client wants you to send it out, making it look like your client is sending out the email to their customers, for instance, but you're actually the one sending it out, this is very helpful and useful. You can add in like a CSV, a list of people's names and emails. You can schedule when it gets sent out, and you can customize the email to say whatever you really want it to say, and it will automatically embed. If you click this little code, oh no, not that code, click this code. You can pipe in, for instance, a link, survey links, this is what I want. A link to take the survey or URL or things like that. So the individual, when they get the email, it will be customized to say, I'm gonna contact fields. So first name, so it's gonna have the person's first name, and then it's gonna say, you know, please click the, you know, this link to the survey or whatever it might say. And this way it's customized. It's customized to the individuals taking the survey, as well as this email is tracked. It is tracked by Qualtrics. You know when they open it, when they take the survey, when they complete the survey, if they stop midway through. You can send out reminders very easily. You can schedule reminders so that in 2 or 3 days, you send out a reminder to all those people who didn't open the email to, hey, please open up this email. So that's very helpful with this feature. And I'll show you an example of this in a second. Data and analysis tab is really just useless. As you can see here, it records all the times I took the practice survey. You'll want to delete that. Make sure you delete it. Once you have all the data complete, you can export it. Export the data. I'll show you how to do that in a survey that has data in it. It looks very ugly, as well as some cross tabs, which are cool. So I'll show you guys actually that right now. So I'm going to pull up a survey that was done for BYU, Idaho. A number of semesters ago. Actually, I don't. We have 831 responses from this survey. It was a fantastic response. So distributions, we sent this out via email. And as we can see, we sent it out to almost 4,000 emails. A bunch of the emails failed and stuff like that, but we see a bunch of surveys were started. Not many were finished. You know, almost 200 less surveys were finished than surveys that were started. A couple of days later, 2 days later, we sent out another reminder to all those emails and got even more responses from it. You can also schedule a thank you and all that types of information, which is really nice. You can schedule 5 emails to remind people to take the survey if you really, really want to. If you really, really want to annoy people. This data and analysis tab, I want to show you a really quick way. We're working on training next week about Excel and how to analyze this data in Excel. But inside of Qualtrics is a super easy way to analyze this data. So what we're going to look at here is something that would actually be very difficult to do in Excel, but it's extremely easy to do in crosstab. So here I have a bunch of logical statements. This is kind of complicated, but I'll kind of hopefully walk you through it. So saying, I want to filter out everybody who doesn't meet these qualifications. So, or I want to keep everybody in the survey who meets these qualifications. So if their response to this question is yes, or if their response to this question is maybe, or if the response to this question is I don't remember. If it's any of these, I want to keep them. And if, so it has to meet this first group as well as meet this second group. For this question, they are not yet graduated is selected. And if, so also this condition is also met. If one semester and more than one semester is also selected. So this is a bunch of logical stuff that actually very difficult to do inside of Excel. And now I can do standard kind of pivot tables that you can do inside of Excel. But I did this literally like a couple clicks. It's super quick. You click add banner and you just select which questions you want to be done. It's extremely easy. And here I now have the amount of time that the students spent on mentored research projects. And now I have every single question we asked in the whole entire survey. And I just selected that is I want to be on the, the x-axis, and I want all these. I want all these options. And I just clicked every single question. And within seconds, I had a report that showed me, is there a difference in how much people make and how much time they spend on their reports? You actually see that there is actually a correlation, that the more time people spend on these projects, the more money they made. So there's lots of cool, interesting things that can be done inside of Crosstab that's very, very quick inside of Qualtrics. This would have taken probably at least a couple hours to do inside of pivot tables, but I literally did it in like 5 minutes inside of Crosstab. Just having this many filters. And I'm going to, oh no, I guess I can't do that. Yeah, but if your project does use Qualtrics, I'd recommend at least trying Crosstab at first to kind of get a feel for it. And I can, here, let's just go look right now. I'm gonna create a new Crosstab. I've looked at this data for a while, so we'll see if I actually can like remember this data. What should we do? Let's look at a demographic question. So let's look up gender for the row. Actually, I want gender for the column. I like gender in column. And then let's look up, let's look up the gender pay gap, starting salary. So we have salary on the row, and then we're gonna have gender on the column. I'm gonna create this crosstab, and it's loading. And here we go. I now have the gender, and I have now the salary for all of these people who took the survey. Total of 438 responses I have for this question. So that's really cool. Like that was very quick, very easy. I see that there are a lot more females on this low side than men. But there's also, yeah, I don't know, that kind of looks kind of weird, doesn't it? Because there's a similar amount of men and female who took the survey. So let's go look at that a little bit deeper. I can go to this data options and get row percent or column percent. Let's look at row percent first. So we see here that 63% of the people who chose this option were female. That's not so good. 79% of the people who chose this range were male. So that's kind of interesting. We can also look up, and we get rid of the rows, and then I'm going to change it to the column. And we see that the majority of the women were actually, more than half of them were in this low category. So it's interesting. And only a third of the men were in that category. So there's lots of cool things you can do in Crosstab and Qualtrics. It's very, very quickly. It's a little bit more intuitive than Excel. We will have training on Excel, so if you want to use that as well, we can kind of talk about that and how to use get the most bang for your buck. Any questions on anything I've talked about Qualtrics related? I've talked about a lot, and it all really, really quickly. There's so much to talk about. I just want to know if there's anything I should pause on before I talk about a few more things I wanted to talk about. Anything online or here? No? Okay. Something I'd like to know is 831 responses were in the survey, but yet my total here is only 438. Why? It's because I only am analyzing responses of people who answered both questions. So there was a large drop-off. So maybe somebody didn't answer one of the questions, or maybe somebody only responded to gender and didn't respond to salary, or the other way around. My guess is salary response was very limited because people are self-conscious about salaries. Oh, you know what it is? Why this is so low? I remember now. Because people only asked what the starting salary was if they currently have a job. And a couple hundred of these people who took the survey do not have a job because they're not looking for one, or because they're a stay-at-home mom, or whatever it might be. So that's an important thing to kind of recognize, is the population that we're looking at in this analysis. It's half of the total population of the survey. Or not population survey, total respondents of this survey. So There's lots of cool things you can do with Qualtrics. Play around with it. Like I said, even if you're not using it on your project, I would try to learn it and get comfortable with it just because it's a good skill to kind of say that you have. And it's just a lot of logical thinking. It's just kind of a lot of logical thinking that I think is just a good skill to develop in the first place. Another kind of cool feature is they tell you how much time they think it's going to take you to take the survey. This can give you a good benchmark of how complicated the survey is or how much time it might take. It will kind of provide you that estimate in the survey. Just trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be. Oh, yes. One other thing I wanted to just look at really quickly here. Let's go look up this survey. There are 448 responses to this survey, which is a great survey. Good amount of responses. I'm going to go to data and analysis, and I'm going to download this data just to show you guys how ugly it is. It's going to actually download it as a CSV. So be aware of that. You'll want to turn that CSV into an Excel document, or you put it into, R or some type of, statistical package you might be comfortable with. You can do whatever you want. I did not unzip it. I just, because seeing all my personal files on my system. It comes super ugly, super ugly. So just kind of be aware of that. Oh, Excel looks weird. Did Excel just like update? Like that looks interesting. Okay, fantastic. So.
Oh yeah, they did a huge update like across all Microsoft Office.
Was this recent?
Last week, I think.
Oh, it was last week?
Yeah.
I just must have not, oh no. So they provide lots of information. This whole column is just junk. I don't know why they give it to you, it's just junk. So just like delete it. Here we have start date and end date. I don't really care about that. Like when you go through these surveys, you kind of just have to hide data, delete data that's just not applicable. You have IP addresses. Maybe that's useful. I don't think your client would probably want that. This is more useful. We have here progress. So if 100%, that means they did the survey entirely. If this means they didn't really do the survey. Same thing is here though. So it's kind of repetitive. So I prefer true false. You have duration here that might be useful, might not be. Delete that. We have record date. This is like super repetitive. This is useful if you put this into a statistical package. This is your unique identifier. Probably not super useful here. This is all just blank. Latitude and longitude, that's kind of creepy, kind of cool to use and stalk people. Not super useful though. Distribution channel, if there was emails or whatever, this could be useful. This is just anonymous link, not super useful. Language, not useful. I'm just going to delete all that. So it takes a while to kind of clean up Qualtrics data. Now this is where the survey actually starts, which is great. So now I get into questions and things like that. How they format some questions and how the data gets exported is kind of ugly, so be aware of that. Here I have a question that has an other field. Qualtrics doesn't know how to deal with that. It automatically spits it out into their own separate column, which is for others. This person nicely just said none, which is great. This was one question. This was a question with multiple parts to it. It was a matrix style multiple choice question. So it's multiple questions with, and then you kind of give like a scale of like, hey, disagree, agree, or whatever. This was a scale question. But so this is one question that asked, does this product solve a problem? Does this product make life easier? How Qualtrics does it is it repeats the question, which is ugly. I don't want the question repeated all the time. And it puts it in different columns. So you kind of have to be aware of that. When you're analyzing the data, it can kind of sometimes be tricky to understand Where does all this data come from? Multiple select options, they will include all together. So you have to unpack this, which is a hassle. It can be kind of annoying. Not super bad, but just kind of be aware that when you have a multi-select, it packs it all together. So in some ways, having your data all separate like this is almost nicer. I'm just trying to think of other additional things. Yeah, so Qualtrics does some weird things. Ranking orders, same thing. They'll put each rank, will be rank 1, 2, 3, 4 in different columns. And you kind of have to piece that all together and kind of combine it back together in that final phase. And it can take a good hour or two just to kind of make this Qualtrics data that they give you readable and make it so you can then go take it and start creating some graphs from it. So just kind of be aware of that and entering that adventure of Qualtrics ugly exported data. Yeah. So, and that's all I have to discuss today. If there's any questions about Qualtrics, about can Qualtrics do this, I'm more than happy to kind of respond to those. Any gift from the peanut gallery or stuff like that? No? Any from online? Okay, if not, then we will adjourn for the day. Thanks so much for coming. And tomorrow, Will is going to be hosting the training. And it's going to be on SWOT analysis, Quartus 5 forces, kind of looking more in a strategy-based analysis of industries or the companies and stuff like that. So that's going to be tomorrow's training at 10 o'clock. See you guys then. Bye.